Alright, this is not going to be a funny story. It's going to be more profound than anything else. Many years ago, about, I don't know, close to probably 20 years ago, I worked at actually my wife and I both worked at a video distribution company. Now at the time, we didn't have DVDs, no such thing. Just had VHS tapes. And what would happen is Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, big companies like that would buy a bunch of VHS tapes from the manufacturers, and they'd rent them all out for a few weeks, and then they wouldn't need all the stuff that they bought, so they'd sell them to companies like us. In addition, at that time there were a lot of little mom and pop video stores, like, you know, you go around the corner and there's a little video store, you know, run by Jim and Tammy or whatever. And they would go in and out of business, and we would, you know, they would maybe sell us, if they went out of business, they might sell us their videotapes. We would turn around and sell these videotapes to other mom and pop companies, and that's what the business was. At the time, I was the computer guy there. When we moved, I set up the network. If anybody had computer problems or printer problems, I fixed them. I did a little programming, that sort of thing. So we had salesmen, and one of the salesmen was, sales ladies. She was a lady, and she was married. She had a son. And one day, apparently, it was bring your child to work day, I guess. And now I barely remember this. I remember that there was a kid who came around to my office and asked me questions about my job. And so I gave him honest answers about the work and the company and how I thought about it, all that sort of thing. And so he came into my office, I answered his question as honestly as I could, and he went away. That's about all I remember. I barely remember that this happened, and I don't remember the kid at all. I don't remember what he looked like or anything like that. That's my total memory of it. A few years go by, we're not working there anymore, I'm not working there anymore, and we get our insurance from an insurance broker company, and my wife deals with, you know, our health insurance and all that sort of thing. My wife deals with that because she knows it better than I do. So she was on the phone to our insurance broker, and in particular she was on the phone to one of the salesmen there. The salesman, it turns out, was the husband of that lady who was the salesperson, one of the salespeople at that video company. And at some point in the conversation, he twigged on who she was. He twigged that she used to work there at that video company, and he realized that I was my wife's husband. And he told my wife the story of this kid that they had. Apparently his son, this sales lady's son, was not doing well at the time when he came into the office. He lacked direction, and he was kind of moving in with the wrong crowd, but mainly his main problem was he had no direction. He had nothing that he wanted to do in life and all that sort of thing. Come to find out that in talking to me, he had discovered, after he talked to me, he realized what he wanted to do with his life. He wanted to do computers. And this guy, this husband of the wife, you know, he was grateful to me for whatever I had said to his son to get him on the right track. Now, again, when the kid showed up in my office, I barely remembered him. And I didn't know there was a problem with the kid at all. I just answered the kid's questions. And yet, apparently, whatever I said to the kid put him on the right track. Now, when I found out about this, I was like dumbstruck. It's like, wow. I mean, this wasn't an extraordinary event in my life. I barely remembered it. And yet, without knowing anything about the situation, apparently, I put the kid on the right track. Now, the reason I tell this story isn't to pump myself up or anything like that. I'm not Donald Trump or Tony Robbins or some guy who has, you know, influence on millions of people. I'm not particularly charismatic. I'm a bright guy with a sense of humor, and that's about it. But it made me, it made me wonder, I mean, what other circumstances have I been a part of and had an influence on someone and didn't know it? It was sort of an extraordinary thing to me. I mean, and if you think about it, the fact that I could do this without knowing it means that, and just me being me, you know, not anybody in particular, means that almost anybody could be in that situation. Almost anybody could be in a situation where, you know, they have some contact with someone, and because of what they say or the way they say it or how they approach the situation, they have an influence more than they would have realized on the person they're talking to. So anyway, that was kind of the lesson that I took away from that. I guess, you know, don't take for granted what could happen in any given situation, and don't imagine that because you're not someone important or, you know, a polished public speaker or something, that you can't also have a relatively profound influence on any given person you meet. So anyway, that was that story. It was wild. I was very surprised, and it's funny, if we hadn't, if that guy hadn't been the husband of the lady who was the salesman, and if he didn't work for that insurance company that we got our insurance through, I never would have even known this happened. Because again, I barely remembered the incident, and I didn't remember the kid at all. And so it was just pure luck that I even found out that this happened. It could have, I mean, I could have gone the rest of my life and I never would have known what occurred there. So anyway, it's just an interesting story and something to think about. So thanks for watching. Thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.